Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the inaugural From Pause to Clause Alumni Speaker Visionary 2020 series. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are returning for another moment of hearing from our knowledgeable and engaging alumni panelists, welcome back. Your Office of Alumni Relations appreciates each of you, especially during our virtual homecoming themed Everything CAU Zoom Coming. We will continue to bring remarkable alumni as experts in their specific fields. They will expound on pertinent topics that will support our students, recent graduates, as well as alumni who are seeking career change. And we are grateful to each individual who wishes to lend support to this series. As always, we wish to thank the alumni panelists for today and for those who have participated in the last 5 months. We did not seek you out, yet you came running with the spirit of a mighty panther, which we are, sharing your knowledge base when the call to participate went forth. This is our newest series of From Pause to Clause, and we are still dedicating it to the Perfect Vision class of 2020 as they exercise their ability to be visionaries. Let me share a tad bit of history on the Office of Alumni Relations signature event. The Alumni Student Networking event, titled From Pause to Clause, was originally designed in 2008 when Kareem Taylor, class of 2010, in his sophomore year, expressed that students should be engaged and learn from alumni of our exceptional university. Over the years, we continuously call on the alumni community to embrace our alumni in waiting, commonly known as students. We encircle them until they become a member of our alma mater. As Panther clubs, they develop through discovery, academically, socially, and spiritually, finding their way as their paws grow into claws and become fully entrenched felines of service, locally, nationally, and globally, while remembering to provide financial support to the institution that placed them on their paths of well-rounded citizens. There is more to the program, and feel free to read the entire historical review in the alumni section on the CAU website. As we begin our conversation, I would like to express thanks to my colleague, Chastity B. Evans, class of 2010, who serves as the program manager in the Office of Alumni Relations. She will be your host, for she created this space for our interaction. Chastity, it is now time for you to begin our exchange.
Well, thank you so much, Alumna Galen E. Gateway Joshua, for that treasured introduction and credible context. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining your Office of Alumni Relations for the Vision 2020 series, Digital Media and Entertainment Industry during and post-COVID-19. An exceptional thank you to alumna Dr. Michelle Rhodes, Program Specialist for the Office of Online Learning and Continuing Education, for always being our technical guru behind all of OER's webinars. Thank you. The purpose for today's webinar is to discuss how the media and entertainment industries are changing, as well as sports now, keep in mind, due to COVID. Overall, how will the education of these professional fields change as well? Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A panel and your Zoom control panel now. I'll be sure to bring them up during our Q&A session to discuss amongst our panelists. Now, without further ado, introducing our first panelist for this afternoon, alumna Dr. Leilani Malin. Alumna Dr. Malin is a communications practitioner with more than 15 years of experience in the communications industry. As the owner of Malin PR, a public relations consulting practice, she provides services in the fields of sports and entertainment, nonprofit, and corporate communications sectors with specializing and brokering community partnerships in the educational and sporting arenas. Her professional credits include managing projects in the NFL Players Association, Impact, the Miss USA franchise, Essence Music Festival Marketplace, MTV, professional athletes, and government agencies. Her professional efforts have garnered her the honor of being selected as Prince George's County, Maryland, 40 under 40, and a DMV Power Woman in Sports and Entertainment. Armed with a BA in Mass Communications from Clark Atlanta University and MA in Organizational Communications and Public Affairs from Bowie State University, and a PhD in Mass Communications Media Studies from Howard University, Maitland is committed to cultivating the next generation of industry leaders by serving as a public relations lecturer and consultant for several colleges and universities. The intersection of her business and academic savvy extends beyond the classroom. Maitland uses her professional practice to offer professional development support and advisement to her peers in the industry in her role as president on the executive board of the DC chapter of Women in Sports and Events, otherwise known as WISE. In this role, she has increased chapter revenue and membership while brokering sponsorships and partnerships deals with Under Armour, DC Divas, DC United, and Caesars Entertainment. Thank you so much, Alumna Dr. Maitland. I mean, wow, what a very powerful bio. We are so happy to have you today, and welcome to the webinar. How are you doing?
Well, hello, Chastity and everyone out there in CAU land. I'm really excited to be here this morning and really feel humbled to have been included with this brilliant and beautiful group of women. When we were preparing for today's session, I said, this really is Black Girl Magic personified that's happening today. So I am very excited.
Look, the CAU version.
The CAU version, that's right.
Ma'am. So we're going to go ahead and get on to your first question for today. So the evening of March 11th played out like a disaster movie scripted by a Hollywood writer's room. Within less than an hour, the National Basketball Association halted all games after a player tested positive for COVID-19. The President of the United States announced a Europe travel ban, and actor Tom Hanks, I don't know if you guys remember that, but I remember that. I was shocked, tweeted from a movie set that he had contracted the coronavirus. This sent shockwaves across many in media and entertainment and led to the shutdown of hundreds of TV and film and sports productions throughout the United States and the world. What were your original thoughts and concerns for the media, sports, and entertainment industry, and why?
You know, it's interesting because during the first quarter of every year is a heavy travel time for me. So I'm usually in a Super Bowl city. I have a project in LA in that same time period with college sports. Then you move into preparing for the draft. And so I was doing a lot of traveling, and you were hearing these rumblings, this conversation about COVID. And I mean, I really thought like this isn't going to really impact us. And as time went on, when that basketball game was canceled, I said, okay, this is for real. And so in the first space, I thought, okay, I'm gonna get to rest a little. I'm gonna get to stay home and not move around so much. And then it turned into really tackling the whole idea that we are not untouchable, in particular, those who work in the sports, media, and entertainment industry. And so it served as a moment of reflection. And so I didn't necessarily have concerns for the media and entertainment industry. I thought back to my time at CAU. During that time was a space where reality TV was becoming a thing. And a lot of that was rooted in the writers' strike. And so I immediately thought there's going to be this moment of innovation, you know, from a media and entertainment lens. But I thought a lot about what that means for how the sports industry operates and how everything is interconnected. Yes. And so, you know, my overall thoughts were to think inward. what can I do in this role to continue to make contributions to the field as we're moving forward and to be a part of innovation. I wouldn't consider myself a super tech savvy person. I'm able to keep up, but reminding ourselves that we have to think forward. What is going to be the next best thing? And I knew I wasn't going to be the next best thinker in the tech space, but a big part of innovation is also about reinvention and remixing things and recreating things. So, for me, it was about have a moment of reflection with who you are as a practitioner, who you are as a professor that wants to prepare future practitioners, to think about how you can be a part of innovation by reinventing. And so, took a moment to pause, to think about what the next steps needed to be in order to be refreshed to do so.
Most definitely. And I've been hearing a lot of that term lately. We've been hearing it, the new normal, innovative, forward thinking, just going after tackling it, because the world now really is your oyster. You really get to recreate, things, because stuff that may have been acceptable and normal last year or 5 years ago no longer really exists anymore. So it's like people are really having to revamp, and rethink things. And maybe it's like a fresh start.
But, and I attribute that to my preparation at CAU. We were chatting earlier about, finding a way or make one. And it's literally a part of our DNA.
Exactly.
What do you need to do in order to continue to move forward? Because, you can't stop, and you should never settle for being last or even mediocre. So how do you ensure that you're moving to the forefront? And so just finding a way and creating that new lane to operate in is key.
CAU, the educated hustlers. There we go.
That's right.
We will always come out on top because we were always meant to find a way to make one. I love it.
Yeah.
As someone whose agency offers support in all areas, mail and PR, we have seen you blossom. We've seen you take off with this project as principal, and we are so proud of you. So congratulations on that. Congratulations on everything that you're doing. We low-key stalk you, but it's okay because we're seeing you. So in all of the areas, event management, promotions, and publicity, communications, consultations, and the list goes on for you. How are you as principal of Mail and PR and your team maintaining the savvy, the sassy, smart, and now straight, but not too narrow, that you're about to plummet, amid COVID-19? How are you taking this, And I think that kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier, being innovative, having this in our DNA, from Clark Atlanta University, finding that way and make one. So how are you implementing that to your team members?
So I think that is a great question, in particular, because we are all experiencing this in a different way, and we also have to acknowledge and recognize how challenging this is. And I think that's the first step. And there were many times where I said, I have had the opportunity to have a lot of great experiences and to do, some really fun things, some things that have helped change and shape the industry. Maybe I need to hang my hat up and find something else, to do. And again, that would not be the CAU way, finding a different way to do it. And so it really took, going back to this idea of pausing, there's this kind of phrase that we throw around in our circle in the industry and sports about pause, pivot, and proceed. And so, I had to take a moment to pause to determine what my pivot was going to be. And, in that, it really reminded me about preparation, about ensuring that you have multiple skill sets. And that's not something that happens overnight. And so what were all of these different skill sets that I had? What were the networks that I was tapped into that I needed to reconnect to in a specific way? And so everything went back to basics. The basics of PR 101 is relationship management. And so, one of the things that I wanted to really be serious in doing is how can I continue to support my team? I didn't want to, have to lay contractors off or not offer hours and or pay to students and emerging professionals who were interning, even if we weren't working on projects. And many of our projects were canceled because they are rooted in the sports and events space.
Yeah.
So overnight, second and third quarter was just a wrap. And
Exactly.
so what other ways can you support the industry and support the emerging leaders in order for them to understand that all isn't lost? So I really just went back to basics. What are some basic things? And a lot of it was rooted in literacy. So, how can I help train and prepare companies and organizations and or athletes in this holding space? So to me, I didn't necessarily look at this as something that was a halt and a part of a plummet or a decline, but something that was going to be a part of, our new direction. This was a great opportunity to do a rebrand. I encourage people to think about in terms of their personal branding. This is a time to hit reset. Don't be so eager to move forward and want to try and convert things that you had planned, because certain things don't convert. Maybe it's a time to stop and reassess and find other ways that you're able to re-enter, but also a time to stop, reassess, and redevelop. So I took this time to do a lot of professional development for myself, professional development for my staff. So what areas do you need to grow in? So these are the classes you're going to sign up for. These are the workshops you're going to take in order for us to really be ready. And now that we're in quarter 4, this has been a great break, a great time to refresh. We've pivoted and we, are ready for all that 2021 has in store for us. Even if we are still doing it from the comforts of our home, we are ready to close 2020 out in an amazing way. And being a part of, projects like this to remain connected to the beloved alma mater are ways that we can do that. So, we definitely appreciate the opportunity, and we're just focusing on a new stream of services where we are able to offer literacy and training and development to help connect those dots for what's going to be ahead in 2021.
I love that. I mean, never forgetting what you learned, but taking it and building onto it, building onto it from a different angle. So for our students that's on the call, you've heard it from Dr. Malin. Y'all know she be teaching. So.
I love to teach. A little known fact about me, before I actually went into the corporate side, I was working in education first, creating media programs for high schools. So it's always been about being full circle. So still coming back. And, shout out to the CAU-ABJ group, who is fantastic and wonderful. I've had many opportunities to be able to connect with them through their president, Darian Carter. And so, just wanting to still contribute to that next generation, because we have to prepare them just the same way that CAU prepared us when we were there.
So y'all, when she gets 60, she told me she gonna become one of the deans. So I'm just like, y'all. Thank you.
But you can't say no to Chastity. So anything she says, I'm like, yes, I'll do it. Whatever.
Look, Dr. Malin, you come on, Dean Malin.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Alumna Malin. I truly appreciate your astuteness and the helpful information. And I know everyone that's on the call today definitely appreciates it. So if you have any questions for Alumna Dr. Malin, please type them into our Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now, and we'll be sure to get to them during our Q&A session. Thank you again, future Dean Dr. Malin. We will appreciate your help.
Thank you.
No problem. Introducing our next panelist for this afternoon is another heavy hitter, Alumna Allison Joyner. Alumna Joyner is a strategist and freelance writer specializing in content creation for historically Black colleges and universities. Her work has been published by The Atlanta Voice, Zora by Medium, Noodle, Black American Web Diverse Issues in Higher Education, and Wiley Publication. She has written articles about several schools, including Jackson State University, Texas Southern University, the University of the Virgin Islands, and her alma mater, Clark Atlanta University. The Atlanta-based writer is a fourth-generation graduate of an HBCU and knows firsthand the life-changing impact these historic institutions have on students' lives. Watching the number of HBCUs dwindle over the years has ignited a spark in Alumna Joyner to use her digital media skills to ultimately support these colleges and universities in an increasingly enrollment and fundraising. She is bold in strategizing how content creation can support and helping colleges remain open and serve generations to come. As a seasoned marketing and public relations manager for over 15 years, Alumna Joyner brings a holistic understanding of how strategic plans and communications can impact a company's bottom line and social impact. Alumna Joyner also provides blogging, copywriting, ghostwriting, and social media consulting services to small businesses across a range of industries, including real estate, beauty, and hospitality. She owns a Master of Science in Journalism Innovations from Syracuse University and a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communications from Clark Atlanta University. Alumna Joyner is a member of the National Association of Black Journalists and the Online News Association and the Atlanta, Georgia chapter of the Links Incorporated. Eager to give back to her community, she is an executive board member of the Tom Joyner Foundation and volunteers at the National Center of Civil and Human Rights. An avid traveler, Alumna Joyner has visited over 20 countries and 6 continents, including South Africa, Egypt, Brazil, and China. Her contact information, as well as Alumna Dr. Malin's, will be shared in the chat. Thank you so much, Alumna Joyner, for coming out today and for always serving your alma mater. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Alumna Evans. That was a really great introduction. I really appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Happy homecoming. I am so grateful to be honored in this way, and I really appreciate you, you inviting me.
Most definitely. I mean, hey, we got to highlight our superstars. So we're going to go right into your questions for this homecoming episode. You ready?
Oh, God. Okay.
You know you're going to kill it. So the growing demand for information during the pandemic has not been met with an adequate increase in journalistic resources. In fact, the opposite has been true. According to the Poynter Institute, in the US alone, over 33,000 journalists have been laid off, furloughed, or given pay cuts as a direct consequence to cover fundamental public health issues. Despite the dire situation, the crisis has shown a secondary positive side effect, accelerating the speed of journalistic innovation. As a freelance writer for historically Black colleges and universities, how has COVID-19 impacted or accelerated you and also impacted your writing? You know, we know you just produced a most recent article in the Atlanta Voice, and it was focused on HBCUs, particularly ours. And we just want to know, like, how has that impacted or accelerated you?
Thank you for the question. Well, of course, my heart breaks for everybody who has been furloughed or lost their job, laid off this year due to this global pandemic. Me being laid off a few years ago was actually how I got into freelancing. Figuring out that I wanted to write and I still have a voice, so that's why I wanted to go into that. So doing writing and then also branching out into other wheelhouses or facets or channels like content marketing and copywriting, because I still get to write. I just get to write in a different voice, and other businesses and other companies bring out more customers and help them build their brand.
Yes.
Going back to the Atlanta Voice article I did last month, I was asked to write that on Clark Atlanta and all of the schools in the AUC's decision to go to virtual learning. As you remember, they were one of the first schools to make this decision to do that. And, you know, there are some pros and cons. I did talk to Dr. French about this directly, and he definitely feels like this was the right decision, not only for the school, but for the students and the faculty, and especially the professors doing that. And of course, I got to talk to other people that have been affected by this decision also, and that it could also progress into the next semester, which the presidents are now talking about that now, as I'm sure you're aware of. I actually, I guess I can tease now that I actually am going to write another article about CAU and the Atlanta Voice, so check that out soon. That's all I'm going to do about
Part two. I mean, I think it was just amazing just to see, you know, just from reading the article, you know, how forward thinking and understanding the students were. Because I was just reading like one of the quotes from a freshman, you know, basketball player at Morehouse, Brock Davis. And he said he just see it as a blessing in disguise. I mean, if that's not mature, I don't know what is. I mean, because he really understands what is going on and what is going on amongst our, you know, people. So just to see that and read that, I mean, it's a blessing to my ears, because, you know, we were more so afraid for our students and our faculty and staff than anything.
Without a doubt.
That we took the front line and took care of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, when I talked to Brock and I also talked to Christine, who is doing virtual learning at her house outside of Portland, Oregon. You know, it's you know, kind of heartbreaking that, you know, they have to go through this, but, you know, our young people are really resilient. They are doing something that I will never get a chance to do, which is go to school during a pandemic. You know, of course, I think this is definitely going to be a life lesson that they're going to benefit from. And just, you know, it really is proof that our school motto, it means everything to us. I'll find a way or make one. And that's what they're doing now.
Yes, all day. So has COVID-19 become an inflection point for journalism, in your opinion?
You know, I definitely think so. Going back to reporting about HBCUs during this pandemic, of course, with all of the schools closing down at the same time, I did have to be creative. And how can I still showcase the schools that I love and really tell how great these schools are. So I really did have to get creative with it, doing features on some alumni throughout our beloved HBCUs and situations that students and alumni are going through that are COVID related. My first article I wrote was on Jackson State University. Their class of 1970 golden anniversary, of course, had a shooting, the Gibbs Green shooting 2 or 3 days prior to their graduation. So they wanted to get their diploma. And so graduation, they were supposed to get their 50th golden anniversary diploma. And now that's still on pause. So they have to wait so many years, I mean, a couple more months in addition to the 50 years they've already been waiting to get it. So, you know, I really creative and really find stories that I thought that everybody would enjoy and really be impacted by. Also with going in what you're talking about with journalism, of course, it has evolved through time with the development of social media, also with our smartphones. You know, anybody with a camera pretty much is considered a journalist now. Everything going on around them. Pretty much you could post a video, put a caption, bam, that's content.
That's it. To take in.
And if it goes viral, it hits main news sources. So anybody really is in the as fast as doing that. And of course, just being more creative, of course, not being in the actual structure of an office building. Some of my colleagues are at CNN, and their building has been closed this whole time. And another of them posted on their Facebook page that they had to get some stuff out of their desks, which they were granted permission to go into, but they might not be able to go back in full time till maybe June of next year. So it's really fascinating how technology is, people are depending on it, like we are depending on it right now to do that. So I guess what an inflection point is, yes, we are going through a change on how we are reporting the news, how we are telling people's stories, but that's just Clark Atlanta all in a handbasket. We've been a way of making one since 1988. So, I haven't had a problem at all adjusting to this new normal.
You're like, because I've been doing this for how long now? Well, thank you so much, Alumna Joyner. Yeah. And if you can, don't forget to drop those links of your other stories. Drop them in the chat, because we definitely want to support you and read them. I know I'm definitely going to take a look at that Jacksonville story, because I did not know that, and I am, as well as Alumna Joshua. We are history buffs, so we're definitely going to check that out. So thank you so much. If you all have any questions for Alumna Joyner, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now, and we'll be sure to get to them during our Q&A session. Thank you so much, Alumna Joyner. Introducing our next panelist for this afternoon, everyone, is Alumna Basemore. Hey, girl, hey. Alumna Basemore is a digital, social media, and marketing consultant for businesses, nonprofits, and women. Alumna Basemore is the founder of J Lane Media, an Atlanta-based marketing consulting firm. Candace has held several roles in the digital marketing space, including being the senior manager of web and digital marketing for See Beyond Birch Communications, director of marketing and communications for the Liberian Consultant, and vice president and digital sales product development manager at SunTrust Bank. Candace also founded Sister Girl Media Group, a digital magazine and podcast with a large international focus. Alumna Basemore believes in giving back to the community and serves as a board member of the Stone Mountain Action Coalition, SMAC, Amario's Art Academy board member, and is a United Way of Greater Atlanta's Women of Coal cabinet member. Alumna Basemore is a member of the Junior League of DeKalb County and was the 2017-2018 Vice President of Marketing and Communications for the Junior League of Atlanta. Candace won the 2013 Committee of the Year Award as the founding chair of the JLA's Leadership Institute and was 2004 American Businesswomen's Association Chapter Woman of the Year. Alumna Basemore was named a 2018 Outstanding Atlantean, a 2018 Who's Who in Black Atlanta, and is a part of Leadership DeKalb 2017, Georgia Windlist Academy 2017, Project Understanding 2015, Program, and 2014 United Way VIP Program. Alumna Basemore has served as president of the Atlanta Micro Fund, vice chair of the Atlanta Film Festival Board of Directors, and as an ambassador for the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Candace is a proud graduate of Clark Atlanta University, a Kennesaw State University KIPP program graduate, and a Scrum Alliance certified Scrum Master. A Newport News, Virginia native, Alumna Basemore has made Atlanta her home for over 20 years, and she has always found a way or made one. Welcome, Alumna Basemore. How are you doing today, homegirl?
I'm fine. And yourself? How are you doing?
Look, Sister Girl, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good. Thank you. That was a great introduction. I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem. We're so happy to have you today, and we're so happy to have you serving your alma mater. So we're going to go right into your first question for the day. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right now. As a digital game changer and founder of J-Lane Media, I know you are aware of the media and entertainment companies that have made significant job cuts and business changes to survive the initial disruption due to the COVID-19 crisis. As they transition from response to recovery, they are beginning to develop strategies that will position them to be more successful after the pandemic subsides. Is this strategy becoming more noticeable in the media and entertainment industry, or are the upper executives dragging their feet? What is your company doing overall to push through COVID and to stay active within the new normal?
Well, first of all, that is a great question. And of course, everybody has been directly impacted by what has been happening as a result of all the lockdowns across the country and across the world. And no industry, I think, has been more impacted than both the hospitality and the media and entertainment industry. Those are industries that heavily relies on people getting together and participating and being more than 6 feet apart and or 6 feet closer to each other. And so when you have situations where people can't gather in movie theaters or they can't come to see a play, that affects every single person in the media industry, from the executive all the way down to the person who is, holding the boom mic. If there's no product that's able to be sold, then basically, there's no revenue coming in. So what we see is a lot of the entertainment companies, especially the larger organizations, have really taken a step back and let a lot of people go. And what's really unfortunate in this process is there are really talented people who were working on major projects who were kind of left high and dry. I mean, no one knew that this was going to be a complete shutdown, and there's no way for you to prepare for it. Any safety net you thought you had, I mean, I guess the best estimate, most people have are told to have, 3 to 6 months worth of savings. And at this point, it's looking like, we're going to be in lockdown well into 2021. So, with the way that, we aren't properly following the guidelines necessary in order to fully reopen as a country. And as a result, what we're seeing is 2 things happening. One, rightfully so, some of these organizations have took the right steps in shutting down productions. And although we're seeing a lot of them coming back, and for, the state of Georgia, we are, number 3 in the country and number 5 in the world for productions. So for us to see that much business just shut down as a complete standstill was a huge impact to the organization. But one of the great things about Atlanta is that we are positioned to quickly get back going. We have a lot of studios here, both for pre-production, actual, on-site, shooting, location shooting, things like that, post-production. So those that gives local people the opportunity to jump right back in and start doing work. But we also have a ton of people who do things that, support productions. So, our editors, people who do sound, music, things like that, scoring. Those are things that can be done. It doesn't require for you to show up into a facility. You can do it from the comfort of your own home wearing your bunny slippers. So, those are some opportunities that, our alumni can definitely take advantage of. And the best way they do it is to lean on their network. There are people hiring, there are productions happening. And what I encourage them to do is to reach out to people and make sure that you raise your hand and say, hey, I have this skill set. I'm willing to do these things. I'd like to learn more. I'm willing to work on this particular type of project, or I'm open to new opportunities. So that to me is one of the first thing I would say that people can do in order to kind of like get back going. But I will say that one of the things that I find a little disheartening about the industry is that they've also taken advantage, the heavy hitters, the ones that were cash heavy and could definitely weather any type of storm for multiple months, if not years, because of how much capital they had on hand. But they've taken this opportunity to trim the fat and to get rid of people that they thought that maybe they were paying too high contracts to, and also to kind of go after some of the smaller players. But the great thing about technology, right, because I'm a technologist as well as the entertainment firm. Yeah, technology right now is allowing people to level the playing field. And it's just so many more things you can do. So like I said, think about what content you can create. Think about how you can pivot. Pivoting right now is so very important. Looking at ways that say if you were heavily in the music industry before, and obviously, people aren't having concerts like they were before, but, is there a different way you can take your knowledge and expertise in the music industry and maybe apply it to a different part of the entertainment industry? We still are seeing like gaming happening here in the state of Georgia. I don't know one game that doesn't have a music score. So, look for ways that you can participate in the industry in that way. There's just so many other opportunities. So that's I kind of leave that out there and say that.
Wow, that is so true. And it's good for our students that are listening in to know that, because they feel like if it's one thing, it's the end of the world. No, there are so many avenues that you can utilize. So like one of our alumni said, if you can't go through the door, go through the window. And if there isn't no window, create your own window.
I tell people all the time, my HBC experience, especially my freshman year, registration prepared me for anything. So, especially like with these voting lines being crazy, like I can wait in the line. Okay, I know exactly what to do to wait in the line. So,
nothing. Wait a minute, you're complaining about 1 hour?
1 hour? I was in financial aid for a week. What you doing? Some of my best friends are people I met in line at registration. So anyway. I was going to say, I just want to really, really emphasize about the gaming and esports as a really great pivot for people, especially with what's happening now with the HBCU esports leagues that are being created, and in the state of Georgia being one of the largest places where esports investment is happening right now. The Georgia Department of Economic Development is looking to bring more of that here to Atlanta. And, for people who go to HBCUs, one of the great things that we have going for us is Atlanta is now looked at as the Black Silicon Valley. So there are just so many opportunities here. So just look is what I would say.
We're just going to hashtag Atlanta all Black everything, because we are we are the Black Mecca. We are Atlanta. Come see us. Don't stay, but come see us. Well, last year, entertainment companies, they spent around $121 billion to create original content, and they were expected to spend even more this year as new platforms. And I know you kind of touched base on this in your first answer, like short form video platform, Quibi, emerge, and streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon Prime. They continue to plow through cash to produce new shows that lure in subscribers. Disney, Netflix, Universal, and a few other studios, they have but all shut down U.S. production. You, as well as myself, we both have worked in the media and entertainment industry for some time, which is how I met you. I kind of stalked you on Oz Magazine. I'm all about that stalking, but positive stalking. Okay? Not crazy. All right. Can you speak to how this industry has overcome challenges in the past and its passion to surpass COVID and once again thrive? I'm beginning to see it a little bit from where I stay at, because almost on every corner on Auburn Avenue and Edgewood, you always saw some type of truck. It would be the lightning truck, it would be the camper. Whatever the case will be, it'll be a whole brand new city in the city of Atlanta. Now it's like completely dead, but it's starting to, spruce back up a little bit.
Yes. Well, I would say, one, I don't know. I know they used to say if you can't make it in New York, you can't make it anywhere. I actually think that is more true about Atlanta. Because this town is like the town of hustlers. I think that every Atlantan embodies our find a way or make one spirit. Because when they get thrown like lemons, they make lemonade and a lemon pie, and they make a whole bunch of other stuff. But But like to talk about how the industry has pivoted in the past. I mean, think about where the industry was in like the early 90s. Technology was coming on board, and piracy was really killing the revenues being made in the music industry. And so people had to kind of change how they did things. How do I write my contract in order to make sure that I can get money even if like 100 of my CDs are being sold on Peachtree Street? Like that's something that you really need to kind of look into. And so, and so one of the things, like I said, I lean on technology. People need to learn about technology, become your own distributor. I mean, it's your content. You don't technically at this point need to go through a production company in order to get your message out there. And there's so many ways to do direct publishing. And so like, you can actually set up, publishing, distributing profiles with like Spotify and, places like that. I mean, people making more money on SoundCloud than they did underneath their contracts. So, and then expand. You're in entertainment, you have a following, don't just sell your music, take statements from the words you say, put them on a t-shirt and sell that too. There's so many print on demand ways that you can actually start getting product out there to help expand on, how you bring in additional revenue. So many ways to build on your streams, so many ways to expand on your brand, and the individual is king right now. I mean, people are, especially with the fact that everyone's so disconnected with COVID and with the pandemic and being separated from, just activities they would normally do, they're leaning on their social profiles in order to stay connected. So if you've never had one follower to date and you decide you want to start your own online brand right now, you can do it because there are people hungry for content. I see people say all the time, I finished Netflix, what do I do? So, you have an idea and a camera phone, like, the lady said before, anybody can be a media expert at this point. There is a YouTube video tutorial, a Udemy class out there that'll help you get up to speed into what you need to learn in order to make that pivot. And right now, I know it's a lot of unrest happening across the country, but the Black Lives Matter movement has actually done a really great thing for pushing pressure onto large organizations and places like Netflix and Amazon and Disney and Universal to start looking at the content that they're providing. And I've seen it like somewhere before, they love our culture, but they don't love our people. But what the content is that's selling right now is content about our culture, and who better to tell our story than ourselves. So, get yourself a pen, a camera, and a business card and a website, and get out there and start pushing your material. So.
Exactly. And definitely shout out to the large corporations that are starting to utilize African-American voices and people for our culture.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You can't have a Black Cleveland Brown, on Family Guy, and the person that's been planning for the past 15 years is Caucasian. So I'm happy to see that a lot of different companies, a lot of different shows, producers, directors, they're starting to look at that differently in terms of ensuring that we get the jobs and we get the money that we need, because we've been doing this for how long. And special shout out to our students at CAU, because without them, I mean, they really have shown me the true definition of being a hustler, on the campus of CAU. Because when I tell you, we have some pop stars, some superstars, some already upcoming, they done made about 6 figures on SoundCloud, and they hadn't even graduated. I am so proud to say that I know them and that I knew them before they truly blown up, because they have definitely utilized this platform called technology to its best. I mean, and we can learn almost. It's like,
I agree. I think our especially like, the CAU and the AUC alumni network is so very strong. I mean, I think about people like Valicia Butterfield Jones, who is killing the game. And doing something that I believe in is like building as we climb. She was over the Black global diversity at Google, and so now she's out doing her own thing and building some more, building people up, especially with a huge focus on women. I think about people like Nzinga Shaw, who is a Spelman alum and is the global chief inclusion and diversity officer at Starbucks. and people like Marcus Blackwell Jr. from Morehouse, and I actually was on at a hackathon with him when he was working on his idea for Make Music Count. And now that app is like big deal, getting funding and, going around the world. And that's another way that you can take music and apply it and pivot. He turned his love and passion for music into a way to teach kids mathematics through an application he developed. So, and then all that stuff is from people who were right here in Atlanta and making their mark on the world. So you can do that too.
You're definitely on the way up. Well, thank you so much, Alumna Basemore, for your best practices, your awareness, and for your information. I mean, we are truly grateful for it. If you want to drop, your social platforms or either contact information in the chat so people can contact you or follow you, like you, share, whatever, because sometimes your page is like a whole inspiration in one day. With your awesome puppy dog. Really,
oh yeah, Ricky the dog. Ricky's a famous dog because he helped me through COVID. So I had COVID a couple of months back. So he helped keep me warm when my temperature kept falling. So he's a very famous dog now in Atlanta.
Entire character, dog. He's a whole human. He's
a whole human, yes.
Seriously. If you all have any questions for Alumna Basemore, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now, and we'll be sure to get to them during our Q&A session. Thank you, Alumna Basemore.
Thank you.
Moving on to our last but never least, interest in our final panel for this afternoon is Alumna LaSharelle Morgan. Alumna Morgan is an executive entertainment attorney who has strategically negotiated hundreds of deals in connection with the development, production, licensing, and distribution of original television, streaming, and audio content. Alumna Morgan has managed business and legal affairs departments at Madison Square Garden, Audible and Amazon Company, Viacom, and HBO, and started her entertainment career at Food Network. Ooh. Before working in entertainment and after graduating from Columbia Law School, Alumna Morgan worked 4 years as a mergers and acquisitions attorney at an international law firm in Los Angeles, where she was born and raised. Welcome, Alumna Morgan. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for always answering the phone call and serving your alma mater.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here, especially during homecoming week. Because if not for COVID, I would be in Atlanta with you guys on the yard right now. So sad about that, but I'm happy I get my CAU love through Zoom right now.
Hey, next year, we got you.
Next year is going to be crazy.
Yes. So as a senior executive in the entertainment industry, what new skills have you acquired to ensure your professional growth and personal development beyond the pandemic?
It's funny. It seems like a theme with all of us is bringing back our motto, right? Find a way or make one. And I think a couple of ladies here had mentioned the need to pivot. So, that is really important at any time in your career, but it's especially important right now because the world as we know it has completely changed, done basically a 180. So really, there's 2 ways that I have worked on making sure that I am where I need to be post-COVID, professionally and personally. The first is just educating myself. And I'm going to, channel Candace a bit in this, where she mentioned, with virtual being the norm right now, there's so many opportunities to educate yourself. So we have the basic YouTubes, but now there are panels. There's this panel. I mean, I attend a panel at least weekly. There's so many. I really do, because, whereas before you would have to travel or it'd be at a ridiculous cost. So many of them are free. And obviously you don't have to travel. So I think that's really the first thing, and something I've been working on the 7 months, reading books, finding those pockets of free time, because you're not commuting. You have some free time. Even with kids doing virtual, you have moments that you could kind of reclaim and using that to educate yourself. And the second thing, again, Candace, you hit it on the head with the remote world and taking advantage of that. And that is expanding and strengthening your network. Right now, because of COVID, because of the murder of George Floyd, so many reasons. So many people are looking for that connection, and they are open to speaking to you. They're more available than they would have before, and you have access now to people that you wouldn't have before, whether it's because, they didn't have the time or they were in a different state. So it is utilizing your LinkedIn network, by the way. So that's reaching out. I intentionally and proactively reach out to folks that I haven't talked to in 7 months. And, it's just like, hey girl, how you doing? Just checking in on you. And that's a really organic way to do it. It's strengthening that connection, but it's also literally checking in on, people who you were once close with, or, just distance, whatever has changed that. And it's also expanding your network, meeting new people, reaching out. You see someone on this panel and you chat and then say, oh, I think we went to school here. And, we were in the same class, or, my friend. It's really about looking for these opportunities, because we're all on this Zoom world. Utilize that and take advantage of this opportunity, because COVID, yes, we all know it sucks, but there are some really great opportunities that are coming out of this, and it's up to us to find them and to utilize them to our advantage.
That is so true. I mean, despite everything that's going on with the pandemic, at the end of the day, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I've been using that to my ability. I mean, and I kind of got this idea from LinkedIn, because I started to see that LinkedIn just started to have a lot of free webinars, free panels, like free certificates, like that you could just do. And I'm just like, I was amazed. I mean, they're still kind of doing it a little bit now, but now that the pandemic is kind of slowing down a little bit, they're kind of charging you again. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I agree with you. It's all about expanding your network and, taking some time to do that. So, for our students that are on the call, definitely take heed, because that's how you're going to make it. You have to, play by this hybrid method right now. So how can we ensure that as Black people working on the business side, versus the creative side of the entertainment industry, our voices are being heard and that we can have a seat at the table?
That's a great question. And it's actually something I think about a lot as a Black person in the entertainment industry. I think a lot of focus, rightfully and thankfully so, has been on in front of the screen. We need to diversify and make sure we're having the Black characters played by Black people, and make sure that the writers and producers and directors are the ones telling the story. But there's also the corporate side of it, the people who are supporting the deals, the people who are really at an executive level at these studios and networks making the decisions. So it's really important that we are represented across the board in all industries, but especially the entertainment industry, where, we are just such avid consumers of it. So one of the things that, I always tell people, and I think about it myself, is that we tend to have this imposter syndrome. When we do get in that room and we do make it, we doubt ourselves. And, we have all gone through that. And I challenge everybody to put that aside and really recognize, if you are in that room, then you belong there. And your voice needs to be heard. And it's uncomfortable. And, it's not really, especially as women, I don't think we're really trained to be so vocal and, outgoing and to share our opinions. But times have changed. And if the 7 months have shown us, it is a different world right now. And I think our opinions are valued, or at least it's the recognition that they should have been valued before. So it's just being bold. And, if you have a moment to voice your opinion, you have an obligation to do so, and to speak for those people, who aren't in the room, and on behalf of, really everybody, the opportunities, based on the opportunities that you have. And that brings me to the second thing, and that is to lift people up with you. Again, there's so many times that I'm the only, and I know we all encounter that, we're the only ones in situations, only women, only Black person. And as you move higher and higher up in your career, that tends to be the case even more so. And, I heard this saying, and it's okay if you're the first one, but don't be the last. So it's making sure that, if you come in the door, you're opening the window for someone else, and that's reaching back. And, it's part of the CAU, I think, way of life, is to really look back and to try to elevate are, people more junior than us, but it's also peers. If you're not in the room and I could say something positive about you and uplift you in this room of people who otherwise wouldn't think that way, I have the obligation to do so. So it's intentionally looking for those opportunities to either bring in other people, other women, other Black people, or to, really seek out and mentor and support people who are looking to get in the industry or who are already in it.
Interesting. I really love that quote that you said. It's okay to be the first one, but never be the last. I mean, that speaks volumes right now.
That's
so
right.
if you see that somewhere on our social media platforms, don't be alone.
Yeah, I didn't say it. I feel like it was Kamala Harris who said it from someone. I tried to find it before I quoted it and I couldn't. So
I'm going to put it in quotation marks.
Don't put my name after it.
A great person today stated this. Thank you so much, Alumna Morgan, for breaking it down and for always bringing your awareness and information. I mean, we truly appreciate what you're doing, and we cannot wait for you to spill your oh so awesome information coming up, so we can definitely give you your kudos. I can't wait. Please send me the information as soon as it happens.
Thank you guys so much.
If you all have any questions for Alumna Morgan, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel now, and we'll be sure to get to them as soon as we get to our Q&A session. Thank you again so much, Alumna Morgan.
Thank you.
Thank you to our alumni panelists for the insightful gems that you have released today to go forth with you. We will go ahead and take some time for questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions into the question box in your control panel. Now is the time to definitely engage with your alums and network. So it looks like we have a few questions. Let's take a look. So let's see what we have. Well, it looks like you all you've all answered them. So if we have some more, I'll be sure to send them to our alums so they can answer them for you guys and get them back out to you, okay? So thank you all so much. Please stay in contact with our alumni and look out for our upcoming webinars, which will take place every Thursday for the month of October from 12 until 1 p.m. So that's noon until 1 p.m. EST. If our alums would like to drop their our panelists, if you all would like to drop your handles or social media platforms into the chat for people to follow you, please go ahead and do that now. Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you for being here today. A special thanks to my colleagues, Senior Director of Alumni Relations, Mrs. Galen E. Gateway-Josho, and for Dr. Rhodes for your stellar service, and to our panelists for a remarkable, phenomenal job today. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all on the last Thursday in October at noon. Please look out for our Homecoming in a Box, as well as our Friday Night Live, which will take place tomorrow. If you are interested in purchasing anything from Homecoming in a Box, please do so. You will receive that online on our social media platforms, as well as via our alumni at CAU.edu emails. Friday Night Live, the link will also be included in that. And we look forward to seeing you all and celebrating our virtual Zoom coming with you guys, because everything is CAU. Thank you so much. And don't forget to always follow us on your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn at CAU Alumni Relations. And we hope to see you next Thursday at noon. Have a great weekend.